Hello and welcome to Geeky Cards. Today I wanted to do a deck tech on one of my favourite decks, Cindra. Cindra, Dracai of Retribution. I think she's very strong at the second, especially with Victor and Prism, two of our worst matchups being banned. I think she is very good. We've also received some new cards recently in Draco Fire, Boots of Omnisword, and so I just wanted to do another deck tech to go through the deck again, explain any changes, and what Cindra's been doing lately. This is the deck that I took to Oz Nationals. I managed to come 32nd out of 152. My losses were a 5 that blew me up on turn 1 with over 40 damage, a Markney, and a Jarl that I win with correct sideboarding, but that's its own story. We'll start off with the equipment. It's pretty standard Cindra stuff. Blood Splatter, if a dagger hits, you can get a resource back. You can flick for a resource. Dragon Scale to have double ender turns. Flick Knives and Mask. Due to the Flick Knives Mask interaction, I'll assume that everyone has an understanding of that. First, second, third. If you block the third, flick the fourth will still threaten Mask. 2 daggers. That's all the expected stuff from Cindra. Moving into the main deck, we of course have Ancestral Empowerment. It just helps us push over the top. If an attack is threatening Mask, we can give it +1, draw a card, then draw a Mask. Very good. Art of Dragon Blood is one of the best cards in the deck. When it attacks, if it is Draconic, it gets Go again, and the next 3 things are free, which helps with our Demonstrates and our Enders. And on top of that, it's just a 4 attack, 3 block, 0 cost in a worst case scenario. It can be an Ender itself. Blaze Headlong, 4 Go again is pretty damn good when you're trying to push breakpoints. 3 Go again on hit Flick. This card's actually very good for pressuring not Mask with, because then you can also pressure an 0 for 4 on hit. Cut Through is just a very good 0 for 4, because if you hit with a dagger, counts for flicking. Demonstrate Devotion is a good fealty maker. We get the pitch off of either Dragon Blood, Ignite, or Blood Splatter Vest. You almost never want to trigger it with Draco Fire. You can use the graveyard effect of Draco Fire, but if you play a Draco Fire into it, it's now a 2-card 6, which is no longer a breakpoint and they can cover far easier. You never want to buff Demonstrate with Draco Fire. Display Loyalty, we just need as many fealty makers as we can get. Draco Fire. This is a hell of a card. I actually really didn't like it when it was first released, but the more I've played with it, I've gone from not liking it to thinking it's one of the best cards in the deck. Next, Draconic Attack gets +2 and costs 1 less to activate. This includes your Kunai, so it can be a Verona Renegade, basically. And being able to banish 2 from the bin to get a resource adds so much versatility to the deck, especially into decks that have Prevention. Being able to just have that guaranteed 1 resource throughout a game is very nice. As well as you can, into more mid-range decks, where you've got to play D-Reacts, you can play lines like Draco Fire into Hunt the Hunter for 7. This came up at my Nationals. This card allowed me to play one of my Enders after drawing to Mask. Fire Tenet is essentially an 0 for 4. 3 Go again, next Draconic Attack gets +1. Hot on Their Heels is just 3 Go again. Mark, basically, it's not a starter, but it's more fealty generation and more Draconic Chain Links. Those are in short supply, so even if a few of them are head jab damage, that's okay. Hunt the Hunter is a 1 for 5 that's just a very good Ender. It doesn't have an on-hit like some of our other Enders, but having Marked is good enough, because it's not on-hit Mark and we need the fealty. And the resources are easy enough to come by now. Ignite, one of our best starters, because we can usually just go Ignite Kunai or Ignite Demonstrate, or we chuck it in the middle of the chain and discount our Ender with it. But Ignite is a very good card that can just discount the next thing, it just helps with our costs. Lava Burst, just one of the best Enders in the deck. It's a 0 for 5, basically. Now, some might be asking why it's a one of Lava Vein Loyalty. In truth, I'd love to get rid of this as well, but you need the Draconic cards. And there's enough 2-ofs in the deck, because some cards can get clunky as a 3-of, that as a 1-off, I had 1 slot left, I need more Draconic Chain Links. You might be asking why not something like Flame the Firebrand. It just, in a deck like Cindra, it too often comes in for 2 instead of 4. Often you want your chain ender on the 4th chain link to threaten something like Mask. So it's too often that if you haven't led with something like an Ignite, it will just be for 2 into your ender. Lava Vein Loyalty might not have the 4 possibility, but just a consistent 3 Go again. 3 block is good. It's like, as soon as there's any other cards that can go in the deck that are good, this comes out basically immediately. But as it stands, it helps our Draconic count, it helps our chain links, it's not the best at anything. But when I had 1 slot left over, it fills all the roles you want to fill. 2 Oath of Loyalty. At one point I was considering dropping to 1, but it's just too strong a card. It's very good. It's an 0 for 4, 3 block, go again. Draconic starter, with the only caveat being you need to use all Draconics that turn. Pain in the Backside is really good for helping push your opponents to block early in the chain when they really don't want to, because you can start with this with a fealty and suddenly they have to block early, because otherwise it's an additional damage and a dagger hitting for things like Blood Spotter. Ravenous Rabble is usually just an 0 for 4. Again, just good for pushing Mask. These basically say the same thing. Rising Resentment effect occasionally comes up, but for the most part these are just Draconic starters. Snatch is a very good ender. 0 for 4, on hit draw a card. Fealty Dragon Scales is an incredible target. Draw to Mask. What's the word? It can help you draw to Mask when you threaten a breakpoint. Or hell, if you haven't managed to draw to Mask, it's a very good ender. Just make sure you have an arsenal, because basically all these cards are playable. You don't have dud arsenal targets. Take the Tempo has some very fun interactions. Like 1, you can go 0 for 4 go again into Take the Tempo with Blood Splatter. If an 0 for 4 go again and a kunai is hit, when this hits it is 3 hits, even though it's not 3 chain links, which is very good for mid-game plays. It's essentially another Snatch. You've got that many attack actions in the deck. You do have less with Draco Fire, but it still hits enough and is a prevalent enough threat that it's basically a must block. Unlike some people run something like Breaking Point in this slot, but it needs them to have an arsenal to have text. This will basically always have text, even if it's not Draconic. And sure, sometimes it'll miss, but for the most part it's a must block. You also have Throw Dagger, which is, you always want 3 blues in the deck to have access to Dagger Loop, which is kunai, kunai, flick on the second kunai, let him go to bin, pay to Cindra back your daggers, kunai, kunai, and then on the opponent's turn you Cindra again. It's one of the best anti-fatigues in the deck, and in the game, truthfully. So I like to make sure I always have at least 3 in my main board, because I haven't had it affect Ravenous Rabble enough. And at the end of the day, kunai, kunai is pretty good. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. Getting into the sideboarding, we have Art of Dragon's Scale as a 1 of. This could full well go to if you don't have Authority, which I'll talk about in a little bit, make this a 2 of. This is a very good card in the current meta, especially with things like Acilio running around. Acilio is a good enough matchup as it is, but this card nukes them no matter which build they are. If they're counter burn or combo with Sigil of Fate, you destroy their bindings. If they are if they have Metacarpus and Storm Striders, you destroy Storm Striders, and as soon as they present Lightning Greaves, that's your target. No matter what version of Acilio it is, this has a target. You have Shelters and Sinks for decks like Arachne, decks like Volda, anything with an on-hit, things like Dorinthia, that you can't, anything that you can't just outright race and has on-hits, you want your D-Reacts for. Usually things like Pain in the Backside will come out, Demonstrate Devotion will come out, because you'll also put in Flamescale Furnace. It's our more defensive package. Flamescale Furnace, well, very occasionally you can trigger it. For the most part, it just says 2 block. That's the only text it has, because you just want it for a defensive option. It's not as good with Prism Gone. The idea was to block Eruditions, but it's still a very good card, and so it stayed in the deck for the moment. Authority of Atea, I think, is very good at the second, partially because I know that my local area loves their fatigue decks, but I think it's great into Jarl, because no matter what version, they'll at least be on a few D-Reacts, and you want more blues into that matchup. It's great into Huntsman, for example. It's great into Fatiguities. There's plenty of decks that Authority is good into, and it allows you to play a Throw Dagger and still play out the Dagger Loop. And so Authority of Atea is very good in Cindra, in my opinion, because you can just go kunai, kunai, which into the fatigue decks you're bringing into is very good, because blocking 1/1 is not very efficient. And being forced to tax their D-Reacts is very good, especially as there are plenty of decks that just have 12 or more D-Reacts in the deck. Warmonger's Diplomacy helps with a bunch of our bad matchups. Vincent, it helps a lot against, because it can neuter their big turns. It helps a lot into Gravy Bones. It helps a lot into Marlin. There's plenty of decks. Warmongers is just a very good ender. I usually swap it out for Throw Dagger, not other enders, because in worst case I go kunai kunai if it doesn't line up to be an ender, or I block out and play it. Warmonger's Diplomacy is a very good card. It's one of our best sideboard pieces, as it covers some of our bad matchups. Boots of Omnisword is a hell of a card. Being able to deny marking turn 0 is incredibly good. Sure, they're adding other pieces like Relentless Pursuit or Reaper's Call nowadays, but it's still a very good card, because even then it can still prevent flicks and prevent like Kiss of Death flicks, for example, because they can put on hits onto those flicks, which is very good. Even if they don't flick you turn 0, being able to stop it with the Boots of Endless Water is very good. It also usually comes in against Vincent and Aurora. Anyone who you'll get the full 4 value out of, it also is nice into. Claw of Vincerica is just very good into the arcane matchups. Just having one spell void every turn is very good. Even into the even into the Acilios, no matter what version of Acilio it is, it can be very helpful. Flamescale Furnace is just part of our defensive package, as talked about earlier. You won't always want to put in Flamescale with the D-Reacts, but when you want it, you really want it. But that is the entire Cindra deck. If you watch the last deck tech, there's not a whole lot to learn here. It's just the changes to the deck for the current meta and the new cards like Draco Fight and Omnisword. I'll have a link to this deck list in the description below. This deck's been going pretty well so far. I'm feeling very good. 32nd at Nats I was very happy with. I have all the matchups here. But this is my Cindra deck. I think it's very good, very strong. I'd recommend playing some games of it. It's a very fun deck to play. I really enjoy it. There have been other Cindra builds going around that are basically full Draconic. They run 3 of Oath of Loyalty, No Pain in the Backside, 3 of Lava Vein Loyalty. Builds like that, they go back onto Inflame because they will have the Draconic Chain Links. I personally found that deck less enjoyable to play. It might be stronger, but it's less... It's very much just play your cards from left to right and you'll get there or you won't. This deck has a lot more interesting sequencing, like baiting out blocks early with Pain in the Backside, or getting a bit more choice in what you do or don't want them to block and how you encourage it to do so. Whereas that other the pure Draconic stack, Cindra, doesn't really have that. It's still a fun deck, but it's not my thing. Anyway, this was my updated for Omens and the new National Season deck tech. I plan to take this exact deck to a Battlegrounds, and so hopefully I'll go well. I'll update in the comments if I do well or not, because that's in 2 weeks. But I think this is a strong deck. At one point I was considering E-Strikes, but not going in. I think it's a strong deck, I think it's a good deck, and I hope you enjoyed. I'm a small content creator for Flesh and Blood, so if you enjoyed this deck tech, please like and subscribe. I know it's pretty similar to my last Cindra list, but there have been some updates and some explanations needed, I think. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer them. And what's your opinion on Cindra? Do you enjoy the deck? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.